Gaming Today presents Cash Considerations.
What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Cash Considerations podcast. For some of you that know now, we are on Zoom and on YouTube. You can find us. Also, we'll be obviously tweeting out the show for our regular listeners on all the social media platforms. And, you can find us wherever you get your podcasts, iTunes or gamingtoday.com. But first, let me bring in the boys. I got my man, Big Dave, of course. What's going on, Big Dave?
Hey, man, nothing much. Just, still trying to get used to this world and doing our thing here on Zoom. So we'll work it out best we can and go from there.
Yeah, we'll get that movie budget one of these days and, make it the studio look pretty swank, as they say. But also, we got our guy HB here at Gaming Today News. Say hello.
Hello. So glad to be here. Trying to stay sane and a little melancholy going into next week with no Kentucky Derby. So I'll be writing a story about that in the digital edition coming up. Nice.
Right on. I will also have a story this week about the NFL draft and how it applies to fantasy. So definitely have to check that out. My man, I am Reynolds 2305 behind the scenes. If you want to check him out on Twitter, he's getting this thing together and it's been pretty crazy. Setting everything up without actually being in the same room as everyone else. It looks like we just lost our guest at Lindy Train as he just pops back into frame here. Welcome to the show, my man. Been a while. How you been doing through this whole ordeal?
I'm great, guys. Yeah, it's been a blast. No, luckily the NFL draft was a welcome reprieve from what we've been dealing with. So. A lot of fun, but yeah, just hanging out, trying to get through it like everybody else.
Very cool, man. Yeah, we'll definitely be touching on that quite a bit as we go through the show here. Our boy Motoi, we don't know where he is. Maybe he's passed out in a park somewhere or just passed out on his bed. He might just be out trying to make bets on turtles on poker tables for all I know. So, but he'll be around eventually, hopefully. But if not, we'll get him back next week for sure.
Could it be a post-draft hangover?
It's possible.
Probably, yeah. I'd say that's
a thing. But anyway, let's kick things off. We'll start with the NFL draft here. I want to start with you, Lindy. I know I was actually had the pleasure of staying at your palace for a little while. And, we kind of chatted quite a bit about the NFL draft as we were checking odds everywhere and had a few takes that went okay that I told you about and had a few that didn't go okay. So, but I saw your board. It seemed like you did pretty well. How did it all turn out?
Yeah, it went really well. This is my first time jumping into the draft. I think that this is a good example of you kind of look at there are two sides to every coin. And as brutal as this whole situation is, I would have never in a million years looked at the NFL draft if baseball was going on. So the quarantine kind of introduced me to betting on the draft, and you were over here a few weeks ago, and I decided it was probably time to jump in and get an idea of the board and what was going on. And I was lucky enough to, I think I stumbled in at the right time and found some really good bets at William Hill and MGM a couple weeks out. So ended up working well, and I can't wait to bet the draft in the future. I mean, if it's anything like this year, then I'll probably be even more aggressive in future years. And hopefully, if we have a full market and everybody's open, then there will be a lot more to bet on. So I'll be kind of curious to see how that works out.
Yeah, it's a very difficult thing to book from a bookmaker's perspective. It's pretty much, 99.6% sharp action. So the numbers move quite a bit. We had Jersey still up as Nevada had a rule where it's 24 hours before the draft, it turns off. Clyde Edwards-Helaire steamed up pretty good at the end there against J.K. Dobbins, which was actually Dobbins was a small favorite when it opened and no one wanted it. And then all of a sudden, next thing you know, the LSU back had just flown up to like $2 before the draft started. And that just in round one too. So we're not even talking about all the way to like pick 32 when he went. That one was actually a good one for us as far as the running back prop. We had will there be a running back in the first round plus money? And it cashed. We had a lot of people bet no on that one. one of the few winners that we had. As you know, it's just a really, really difficult market to book to, because it's all based on information, and you know, a lot of people are out there trying to scour for it and get it before everyone else is. But Big Dave, I know you aren't exactly the biggest NFL draft guy, but I mean, with the history that you have of dealing with it, you know, booking it, betting it, what did you think of the whole thing?
It was interesting because, you know, with the book being closed for us, I'm seeing it from the outside looking in, and, you know, seeing guys like Lindy post, you know, plays and watching numbers move from a distance. So when you see that, you go, okay, what exactly is going on? And I mean, honestly, just from a fan standpoint, having the draft again was just welcome anything. Like, we're able to actually watch something, communicate, go back and forth on Twitter, you know, watch plays come in, watch plays lose, running back gets drafted on the last play or last pick of the first round, changes all that. So that was fun. Booking it, I don't miss it. I got to be honest. I mean, it's just keeping it real. It's so hard to, I mean, break even is the goal. Break even, never the goal in anything that you do as a book. And from the book's perspective, going into it, it's break even. Now, I think when the draft is here and you have all of the people here that are going to play it, and it's going to be a lot different, that's going to change the way we book it as far as the book goes. But, you know, markets kept, I mean, you kept the markets up in New Jersey up until the draft actually started, right? So you can see even what happens there as opposed to stopping it 24 hours in advance.
Sure. And I was told that they were probably going to take that ruling away and shift it to that the draft, once it started, everything went off the board due to the fact that it was going to be in Las Vegas. But I think because of, you know, everything, that they didn't really, that wasn't a concern for this year. But I would be stunned if by 2022, when the NFL draft does come back to Vegas, that it wouldn't be bettable until the first round. With that being said, you know, it's definitely a big challenge to book, like you said. You know, it's something that I feel like as time goes along, maybe we'll be able to get the public interested in it. And definitely when it's here, it'll probably help. But long term, it's going to be a tough, challenging market for us every year. But I will say, as I'm watching the draft, it was great to have it, but my goodness, between the commercials and the performances, I was dying by the end of this thing. I couldn't even watch today because I just had enough. I couldn't deal with it. Did you guys get any of that feeling watching this stuff?
Yeah, but with no other sports to watch, you know, you have no choice. It's like you got to warm up to it one way or the other. And I thought they made a great presentation. Goodell was self-deprecating, and they did the best with what they had.
That's a fair point.
I just round hilarious with them sitting down. I mean, that was a highlight of the draft for me. Like, you could tell he was just worn out. He couldn't stand up anymore.
I loved being in the players' houses. I thought that was a real welcoming aspect of the whole thing, where, you know, you could actually see the true reaction with the people that you know, they got there with. And I don't know, it was just a lot of fun in that regard. And you're right, there was too much singing, there was too much concerts, there was too much other stuff, and it did wear you out. Like you said, I only watched the first round. I couldn't do more than that.
Right. You know, the whole thing with Disney, I think owning ESPN just creates all of this, like, well, we got to get females interested, and we got to get, you know, the family stories and all this nonsense. And I'm just like, look, I can deal with a couple of these, but every single pick, you're killing me. I mean, by the second and third round, I mean, they're missing picks and not even talking about who's being drafted while they're getting through this stuff. And I was just losing my mind. But anyway, it was nice to have something, especially something to bet on. So after that, I'm just now ready for UFC to come back. So hopefully we get these huge fight cards that are coming up, as far as you know, just something to bet on and something to watch. As far as the draft for me, I mean, the top three teams that I thought really did well. The Cowboys, I thought, I mean, just sitting there and letting CeeDee Lamb fall to you was incredible. I think they're going to be a real force in the NFL this year. I mean, they lost so many games last year they should have won, and it was mostly because of coaching. I think Dak's going to have one hell of a year. I think he's like probably going to win the MVP if you ask me. And then also I think the Broncos did really well. Jerry Jeudy and Hamler. I think that combination, they really needed some wideouts. And then you add those guys to Cortland Sutton. If Drew Lock's decent at all, I think that'll be a really good team. Wouldn't shock me at all to see them in the playoffs. They also grabbed that center from LSU that I think was pretty solid. The Cardinals getting Isaiah Simmons. I mean, talked last week about how much I liked him. He's a really talented linebacker that you could pretty much use anywhere on the field. And then, I don't know. Did you guys have any particular teams? I'll start with you, Big Dave, that jumped out to you that you thought had a good first round at least?
You pretty much said the ones that I was thinking of. It really is like the Colts. I thought the Colts did overall pretty well. I kind of really like Jonathan Taylor. So them getting him and Pittman, they got some weapons that they need. They know they only have Rivers once, probably 1 year. So kind of, grab some weapons, throw it all together and see what happens. Them drafting Eason in the back, later to maybe build for the future. I don't know. And then, like, the only other really thing that I looked at, is the Steelers. I don't know what they were doing. No first-round pick, but that's okay because, with Mika, it's all right. They just filled some spots, and we'll see what happens. It's quick, and we do this all the time. You got to give somebody a grade. You got to give somebody, who did well, who didn't. We don't know. Like, it's a snap judgment right now. So, again, that was the one other team that you mentioned or that you didn't mention between like the Cardinals and the Cowboys had a pretty good draft. I thought the Colts did pretty well.
Nice. HB, did you like anybody's draft in particular that we haven't mentioned?
No, I quite honestly, I didn't pay too close attention after the first round. But from what I read, the teams that you mentioned, how did Miami do?
They did really good in the middle rounds. I mean,
Okay.
They just loaded up on young talent, which I think at the end of the day is always going to be a benefit. I mean, even if you go 7 out of 14 picks, I mean, there's not a lot of teams who even end up with 7 picks with all the trades that are made sometimes. So
it seemed like they were going to stack it up in the middle.
Yeah. And then they have a ton next year too. So, I mean, they really have a great chance to build a long-term future there in Miami. Mr. Lindeman, did you not like any particular team's picks in this draft?
All right. Well, I know this isn't really like This isn't a groundbreaking take. I'm sure that every media outlet in the world's criticized this, but like, what are the Packers doing? It just doesn't. I mean, it's mind blowing. I don't even have a problem with Jordan Love. I think he could be. We talked about it. I think that he had a really unfortunate coaching situation last year. He could pan out. But you just completely alienate your franchise player. I don't understand it when you've probably got at least 3 good years out of them. So that didn't make sense. But yeah, I really liked the Cardinals. I thought the Cardinals went best available player instead of need with the 8th pick. They could have gone tackle. There's about to be that run on tackles, and they stuck with Simmons. And then I think Jones ended up falling to them in the second round. So they got a guy that was projected 24th to 27th in the second round.
Third round. Yeah,
wow.
that was another guy that I was going to mention.
I think they did
that was a great pick.
And I really like the Vikings. I thought the Vikings getting Jefferson at 22 was huge. And then I was pretty high in Gladney. I think they took him 31st. I believe that's what they did. Those are 2 teams I really like. But yeah, the Packers, they just seem like they're in disarray now as an organization. I read today they wanted to shift to running game and defense. I don't know. I'm not a big NFL guy, but I don't get it. So
yeah, 1996 called. So can't wait to see that Lambeau up in flames in the next few years because that could be on its way. At least with this LaFleur guy and this general manager. As a Bears fan, I was thrilled with their draft. So congratulations, Green Bay.
How about the Bears draft? Were you thrilled with that?
Yeah, I understand the takes on the tight end and whatnot, but when you don't have one and you've kind of got like a pretty good mix of talent everywhere else on the field, I thought like that was a need. They were so horrendous at that position last year. The kid looks like he can immediately be an impact player for them on offense, which I think they need. So, when you only got 2 second rounders, you can only do what you can do. But I thought their secondary choices were decent. You just never know how those kids are going to pan out. Sometimes that position especially takes a little while before they can play at that NFL level. But we'll see. Speaking of teams I like, the Raiders, I don't know what the hell they're doing. I'm expecting to see 3 offensive linemen and 7 wide receiver sets or something like innovative. I don't know.
Run and shoot, baby.
Yeah, I don't know if 2 wide receivers are going to run the same route so Carr has a chance to complete a pass or what's going on here. But I like Mayock in the fact that he gambles and he doesn't care. Like he just takes the guys he likes. But I mean, you can move down. You can move down. So I think that was one that really stuck out to me. And then I think the Atlanta Falcons had a horrendous draft. I don't really understand what they're trying to do. I don't know if it's just the GM and the coach or what the deal is. But yeah.
Oh, man.
Oh, he's here. Welcome to the cast. Heed these takes. We've been talking about you in the beginning, my friend. How are you?
I was struggling heavy today, man. It's called Woodford Reserve. and it put me in reserve big time. Jesus Christ. What's going on, guys?
Man.
Sorry about
the
absence.
You're
tardy.
Good. We're just talking about we're just talking about the NFL draft. We're wrapping it up. Anything that you saw yesterday or on Thursday that stood out to you about this draft?
I'm pretty sure you guys already touched on Jordan Love, getting taken by the Packers. I thought that was probably the craziest move. Almost like a troll job towards Aaron Rodgers.
Totally.
But yeah, I can't really say I was surprised about a lot. I mean, I thought CeeDee Lamb was going to go a little bit lower. I can't believe he dropped to the Cowboys. And I think the Niners did pretty good. I'm being biased, but seems like they got their guy because they had to let go of Buckner for cash issues, so they got Kinlaw, and then they went after that kid from Arizona State, Ayuk. So yeah, just a couple things that stood out. I guess Jalen Reagor going to the Eagles was kind of ridiculous, but just some of the things I've seen in the first round at least.
Yeah, Mo looked up the only 2 things I was unhappy about, but
oh, it's Lindy. Oh man, Lindy knows what I was getting down on last night.
Yeah, the CeeDee Lamb hurt. That hurt twice because then the Cowboys didn't take Chasen at 17; they took Lamb instead.
Oh yeah, that's double whammy.
Yeah, that was brutal.
That was
right.
Wasn't there like a Niners beat that was really bad too? Was it Kinlaw that like they traded down one spot and it changed the position?
That was
a
bad beat for Will Hill. I took over 13.5, and 13 was dangerous, very dangerous, and I didn't see that when I looked at it the first time. They dealt back 1 pick and took him 14. So that was I think Circa put up 14.5, so they probably took a pretty tough hit on that, I would imagine, but pretty lucky on my part.
Nice.
Hey, AB, one anecdote. I was amused when they put the camera on the coaches' homes, especially Cliff Kingsbury. It's like the little people were watching how these guys live.
Oh man, did you see how McVay's and his backyards were almost identical, but they were flipped?
It's crazy.
Like, that was the most surreal thing ever. One had like more grass and then like a tile thing that was separating it by squares, and then it flipped to the tile at McVay's. I'm like, this is just insane.
Yeah, there was a landscape architect that got paid.
Yeah, just a little bit. Oh, maybe he bet the T. Higgins prop that we got crushed on. Anyways, so after this draft, for me, a couple of the season wins that I kind of liked at Circa, pack under 9. I think that, as Lindy said, you draft Jordan Love in the first round. They haven't drafted an offensive skill player in the first round since they picked Aaron Rodgers. It makes no sense what they're doing. They've had a Hall of Fame quarterback that, they just went to the NFC Championship game, and they're taking a guy that they theoretically may not play for 3 years. It's just an insane pick to me. I think it's going to be a disaster for that franchise long term. I wouldn't expect Rodgers to be there past this season. I think he'll be out of there. Next one, Falcons under 7.5. Falcons are done, man. Dan Quinn should have got fired last year. That division's going to be tough with the Bucs now kind of, going up the ladder, so to say. Young defense, Arians, Brady, all the weapons. They're going to be a handful. And I think the Panthers are going to be better than people think. So I expect the Falcons to be the team that falls back there. Rams under 8.5 plus 105. That division is an absolute monster now. I think the Cardinals are going to be really challenging. The Niners are still going to be fantastic. And I think the Seahawks are going to open up the offense of the passing game. Russell Wilson's been basically in public crying about needing to throw the ball. And so hopefully they'll finally listen to him because he is that talented. And then finally the Raiders under 7.5 minus 125. Hurts my heart because they're the Vegas team now, but they got too many holes to be drafting three wide receivers in the first 2 rounds. And I just don't see that ending well for them. Any teams that you think will make a jump, Lindy, on the, maybe, I don't know if season wins, but any team that you think did enough to maybe move up to a sleeper, would you say?
Browns.
There it
Cleveland
is.
Browns. No, I'm riding this Browns train. I haven't handicapped an NFL season wins in I don't know, ever, but I'm riding this Browns thing because I've never seen more hype going into a season for a team that did not earn it whatsoever in the last year's Browns. And from my understanding, their coaching was such a train wreck that whoever they're bringing in has to be such a gigantic upgrade with the talent they have. It just makes sense to me, now that the Ravens are pretty clearly the top team in that division and the pressure's off the Browns. I don't think anyone expects them to go in and win that division. No one's talking about them. I think this is your post-hype sleeper situation going into this year. So I'm going with Mayfield having a big year and the Browns maybe not doing what people thought they could do last year, but definitely living up to some of those expectations.
So playoffs, yes.
Yes, for sure.
Okay, there we go. All right. I
got
got to go to Mr. Steeler himself, Big Dave, after that that take from the Lindy train.
Well, first of all, this is the first year in the last 3 that you've been down on the Atlanta Falcons. You've been riding the Falcons.
So they're going to win the Super Bowl. Yeah.
Yeah. So you've been over their season wins. You've been saying they're being challenge for the NFC Championship. So now you're against them. Just punch the Falcons ticket to at least the wild card, if not the division. They're going to the playoffs. There's no question. The Browns, they're not making the playoffs. They're just not making the playoffs. It's just until proven otherwise. Lindy's right in the fact that whoever they bring in is better than Freddie Kitchens. It's a coaching upgrade. But when you have the worst coach in the league, it has to be a coaching upgrade. Yes. Browns aren't making the playoffs. I don't know. I kind of agree with you with the Panthers. I think they're going to be better. I'm fading the Buccaneers. The Buccaneers they got Brady, they got Gronk, they got everything set now. Best offensive team on paper in the league. And, they're going to win 12 games. According to they're this year's Browns, at least with the hype and with everything. It's different. It's not a rookie quarterback or second-year quarterback and an inexperienced coach. They got a lot of the pieces, obviously. But what we do in our business. We fade the hype. So the hype for me is season wins is 10. Tampa's season wins have never been 10. We'd have to go back and look when the last time that's even possible. Because I know it's been a decade where it's been 6.5, 7, or 7.5. So
we put up Buccaneers minus 1.5 against the Patriots, and the Bucs are plus money. What would you take there? I think the Patriots, last I saw, were plus 1.5 minus 170 in season wins.
Wow. Ooh, that's a great line. I think I would take the Patriots. I would take the Patriots plus 1.5 and lay some juice. Figuring the Patriots going to win 8 games. Are they really going to go to a losing record? I don't see that happening. Could they go 7-9? Yes, I guess it's possible, but I think it's likely that they go 8-8 or better. So now we got to get, the Tampa has to get 10 if you think they're 8-8 or better. I don't know. Tampa looks like a 9-17 to me. We'll know more when the schedule comes out. You see the opponents now. You don't know the order. You don't know the 3-game road trips and all that stuff. But
sure.
9-7, when you go through it, that seems like that's the wheelhouse for Tampa. 9-7.
Seems thus far it's been a decent number. We really haven't taken anything yet, and there is another line in town, which I'm curious if they've taken bets. Motoi, what are your thoughts? Any teams that you think made a move to maybe be now a sleeper based on their draft, or anybody that maybe did such a disaster that now it's not going to be their time?
Oh man, I don't think I've looked at anything like NFL-esque in like months on end. But I mean, just from what I've seen through the draft in itself, and what's probably going to make me mad through the season, if there is one, is Kyler Murray does in year 2 with the Cardinals. So they're probably going to make me just as mad as every other team in the NFC West when they upgrade and get better. I've seen it with the Rams when they made it to the Super Bowl, and obviously the Seahawks. I have some type of hate for them that can't be explained right now. It'd take too long. But I think the Cardinals have done an incredible job. I think they won in the draft. They took your boy Isaiah Simmons. They got DeAndre Hopkins. I think they kind of bolstered up that defensive line. But yeah, I mean, the Cardinals are going to be a team that people are going to watch. I think they're going to be explosive. And everyone's talking about Kingsbury in his crib. So yeah, they're going to be on high alert. So get ready for people to start talking about the Cardinals here soon.
Is he going to get a bigger crib after this season?
Probably. He dated Holly Saunders. I don't know if anyone remembered that. How could she leave him? Did she not see the crib? Man. He probably got the crib after when she bounced.
Did you see the downgrade she went through?
Well, oh shit. I mean, who didn't? My God. God damn. But yeah, man, the Cardinals are gonna make me mad. So yeah, mark that down.
Yep.
Yeah, simple.
Okay, perfect. I'm
She's been
enjoying
in Cabo a lot. She's been in Cabo.
Is she traveling? She's got COVID.
Okay.
Moving on.
Oh man. All right. Well, let's keep things short and sweet this week. I got one last thing before we head out the door. We brought in a segment into the show last week called "What If" that we just kind of have a little fun with. The one I went with this week in the 2003 NBA draft. The Cleveland Cavaliers won the lottery and got LeBron James. My question to you guys is, what happens if the Memphis Grizzlies win the lottery and he's paired with Shane Battier and Paul Gasol? So, Big Dave, I'll come to you first. What do you think the landscape of the NBA would have looked like with a Grizzlies team with Hubie Brown, who won Coach of the Year that year, by the way, and a decent Grizzlies team with LeBron James?
Cool, that would have changed everything, right? I mean, Memphis would have been a good team in the Western Conference. The whole dynamics of the Eastern Conference would have been different. The Celtics probably would have been a completely dominant team in the Eastern Conference. I can't even remember who else was good back then. Were the Sixers still challenging for the Eastern Conference and stuff?
They
finals?
were kind of at the end of their run. The Pistons were good at that point in time. The Pacers were also good.
Oh, the Pacers.
So I think you would have seen maybe a couple different teams getting into the finals mix.
Right. That's what I was thinking of. And as far as LeBron, obviously his career would be different, but it would have been different in a different city. I think obviously what he would have done and elevated a team to a certain level, Cleveland would have just probably wasted away. I mean,
it's crazy to think about because, all of the dominoes that would have changed. I mean, the fact, does LeBron ever even become a Cav at all? Would he have ever gone back to Cleveland when the Warriors have won multiple titles because, he didn't exist? And, I think he probably still ends up on the Heat. Oddly enough, I think that probably still would have happened. But Lindy, what do you think? What happened to the Memphis Grizzlies and all those old LeBron James jerseys that would be out there?
Well, you're actually kind of hinting at it, but I really do think that it would be the exact same trajectory as his career took, before, because he went to a small market team that couldn't surround him with any talent like he would have been at Memphis. He would have been up against it even more in Memphis because he would have been in the Western Conference going up against all those. I mean, Cleveland cakewalk to the Eastern Conference Finals every year. So he would have given up after his contract was up, and he would have gone to Miami or wherever it was to stack up and win a title. And then he would have gone back to Cleveland to try to bring them a title, even if he hadn't played there before. I really think his career would have followed a very similar path, whether he went to Memphis or Cleveland or, maybe if he went to a bigger market Eastern Conference team, I could see it being a little different where, maybe they could surround him with some talent. He'd maybe still be there. But I think that, between those two, it probably would have played out about the same.
I think the Grizzlies would have been pretty formidable with him and Gasol, though. I think that was a big thing he was missing when he was on that first Cavs run. They just really didn't have much around him at all, and he was still carrying him to the finals. So, Motoi, what do you think of that whole scenario? I mean, do you kind of agree with Lindy? Do you think he would just have gone the same direction, or do you think he would have taken a completely different path?
I think the first thing I thought about was like, who's the best player in Grizzlies history? Like, I'm not even. Was it
John Morant?
Reeves? Oh, John.
Already.
Say Reeves, like Big Country?
Yeah, Big Country. Yeah, Big Country might have been the best Grizzlies. He might have been the best Grizzlies player in the history ever.
You ain't never heard of Zebo?
Oh, Zebo. That's all right. Might have to go Zebo. Yeah, no, I think you guys kind of touched base on him being in the Western Conference, like especially kind of like at that time, like during the rise of like from what he came in the league in 2003. I mean, a lot of those teams in the West were like incredible. And it would have been tough for him. I mean, just as far as the skill level, you would I think it would have been a boost because he was already getting better as a kid. I think he probably would have touched new levels because he had to go up against better talent. In that big conference, I think it was the Eastern Conference Finals, or when they played the Pistons, when he had to score 27 straight. No one's ever seen anything like it. I think he was like 21. So, we could underestimate how good he could have been, being in the West with those guys. But there would have been a point where if he wasn't winning, which he's shown us, that he could have probably ended up moving around and, still changing the face of, talent, just going, wherever they want to win a championship. With no regard of what anybody cares about or, stuff like that. So, yeah. I still think he would have ended up moving around, but he could have gotten way better being in the West because he had to play against all those guys every year.
Yeah, that's kind of my last take on it. I feel like he would have went to a team that actually could have competed. That team went they got knocked out that round by the Spurs in 4 games. But I think if you add LeBron James to that team, I think you're probably looking at more of a 6 or 7 game series. And then from there, who knows if he jumps those levels, like you're saying, where you're getting to play those better teams every single time he takes the floor. It would have been interesting to see for sure, but that's why it's fun to play that kind of stuff. But anyway, let's wrap things up. Motoi, I'll let you lead first in case the Woodford Reserve kicks in again, so you can say your goodbyes to everyone.
Yeah, no, just nobody drink a lot, not as much as you think you can. It's dangerous. I don't know. I don't have much to say, man. I didn't really get out today. No vitamin D, no sun, so I'm kind of.
Oh, do you have a top 3? Do you have a new top 3 list for us this week?
No, man. It's funny. I've only been going to Cornerstone Park as of late, so that's just been my number 1 as of now.
Oh, I just meant anything, like anything in general. You could do whiskeys right now if you want.
Oh man, I have nothing. I don't want to just come up with something and it'd be bad. I'll have to be more prepared, obviously, when I get back on here. So, apologize.
Right on. Big Dave.
I just had a couple quick hitter questions that I wanted to just swing around and ask you guys. As far as, are you doing more or less of during this quarantine? The first thing was eating. Who's eating more during this quarantine?
More.
HB, you're more eating.
Absolutely. More.
Mo?
I feel like I've been eating better during this quarantine, which is incredible. I feel like I'm living my best life.
More or less eat food?
Oh, me? Probably like the same, just probably worse food.
Worse.
Yeah.
Lindy, you look like you're wasting away. You must not be eating at all.
Hey,
what does that mean?
I haven't eaten.
What does that mean?
Where does it go?
No, I've been fucking trying to get in shape.
Oh, you look great.
Thank you.
You look great.
Thank you. Yeah, no, I've been eating about the same amount, but way more time to exercise. So.
How about drinking? Who's drinking more?
Nah.
HB, hand up, quick. Mo,
I'm doing some things right now.
Right? You're on pace.
I'm on a run right now. I'm on a run.
I just don't know how he could.
Hey, Mo.
Dude.
Just some advice, Mo. Just clear the cookies and the cache on the internet.
Oh, yeah. Good call. That
Yeah,
actually
let's
is
make
a
sure.
universal truth. So I like what you got going on there. I like that. That makes sense.
Just saying.
Lindy, drinking more or less?
Definitely drinking less. Trying to cut out beer. Trying to get away from the beer.
Okay.
But yeah, nah. So there's no distractions. It's a lot easier to eat healthier, in my opinion. I granted, I'm here by myself. I don't have a family with me, but a little easier to eat clean when you're stuck at home by yourself.
Okay. All right. And the last one I was going to say was exercising, or actually like getting out of the house, physically doing something, more or less. HB?
More because we're forced to, and we get out with the kids and we walk and we hike. So that's just, I think, causing more of the eating is more of the exercise.
Nice. What about you, AB? You doing anything physical?
Oh, less, man.
Less.
I'm
Yeah.
still working like a lot of hours, so it's
yeah,
like
that's right.
a total
Work.
disaster.
Right.
A job. Crazy.
Oh
That's
boy.
crazy.
you got the parks down, but I mean, are you doing much other than that?
Yeah, I mean, I got some push-ups and sit-ups going on.
Oh,
you know,
good. Okay.
I feel like I'm in prison, but I get to go out and enjoy the days. Like these are the best days. Like as far as like April towards like it's gonna be super hot soon. But just to get out right now, I'm trying to enjoy the days that they're taking away from us. Like it's gonna be triple digits like in a week. So yeah,
Wednesday.
before that I'm gonna be out.
Yeah. And Lindy, you must be working out hard. You said you're doing it all at home?
Yeah, I mean, it was my New Year's resolution to get in a little better shape, weights and stuff. So I'd been doing that up until the quarantine, and I just said, all right, I got to keep this going, especially with, trying to get in some kind of healthy routine. So that's what I've been doing, and that's really the only thing keeping my sanity, I think, right now is doing that every day. So.
Right. All right, cool. No, other than that, that's it. That's all I got. I mean, I'm I've resorted to homeschooling. I've taught the kids, tonight after we get off this, we're having a poker night. Taught the kids how to play, Texas Hold'em, along with all the other games. We're playing, someone plays 7-card stud, someone plays whatever. We're doing, the old school wild card games, which I'm personally not a big fan of, but like, you hear the term baseball. We got grandma over at the house. We're all hanging out and, playing cards. So that's what we've resorted to. No more school and no more we're on hiatus for softball. So I know how to play cards. So what are we going to do, Daddy? We're going to play cards. Just don't splash the pot. I mean, really,
Oh yeah.
throw the coins in and you can't
Classic.
splash the fucking pot. That's all. That's all I got.
Oh, that's great.
Anyone else want to say anything on the way out?
Hey, Dave, if you had the girls go to gamingtoday.com and to the Betting 101 section, there's some great poker articles.
Let's
That's
do
a
one
good
thing at a
plug.
time.
That's a good plug.
Teach the kids how to cap games.
That's a
Perfect
good
time.
one. You know what? We really try to watch the old games and get into what do you think's going to happen here, because it's fun if they don't know. And I don't know either. I mean, these games, MLB's playing old baseball games. Nobody knows what happened, but you kind of get a feel. And I know just on their level, they're starved for it. So again, I don't think we're opening up anytime soon. I know you guys saw, the press conferences this week between different people, different politicians. I don't want to get into it on here, but my God, some people saying some stuff. You want to open next week. You want to open in, 2021. I mean, it's all over the place.
It's all speculation, and everything's on the table.
Oh, it's all on the table, but it's not us doing anything with sports books. So AB, just keep grinding, keep doing your thing, because I know the rest of us sitting here around on this thing, we're waiting to do something, anything. I just happy I finally got through the unemployment line this week. I got through on the phone. It was a miracle.
Good.
So I feel like I won something this week. I won a bet. So we got that taken care of.
Banger.
I saw Mrs. B with a mop and a bucket in our house, and I took a picture and I sent it to the Guinness Book of World Records.
She obviously is nowhere within earshot of you, huh?
No, she's not.
Okay, that's good, because you definitely wouldn't be saying that shit.
Oh,
Penalized.
man.
Social
Oh,
distancing. Your ass will be sleeping outside.
What else is there?
There you go.
Oh.
All right, guys. Well, you can find everybody at their Twitter handles. Thank you to the Lindy Train, Matt
Thanks,
Lindeman,
Lindy.
for joining us this week. Talk a little NFL draft. Thanks, my man.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Appreciate you having me.
At Heed These Takes, Motoi Pearson for any whiskey takes. At Gaming Today News for HB and the horses, still out there doing his thing.
Struggling.
It'll turn. And Sportsbook BK Consig, Big Dave, as always.
Thank you.
And thank you to I Am Reynolds 2305.
Mad numbers.
Jordan Kidd,
He's the glue.
keeping it all going, man. But thanks to everyone for listening. Definitely check us out on YouTube if you haven't yet. And we'll see you next week.